This is News 6 Tonight.
Welcome to News 6 Tonight. I'm News 6 anchor Lisa Bell, filling in for Ginger Gadsden this week, along with the pro here, Matt Austin.
Ooh, I'm the pro.
You are certainly a pro at this show.
Ginger is gallivanting around somewhere right now.
And enjoying a little R&R.
Yes, as she needs, and we all need sometimes. But we are holding down the fort. Glad to have you with us, my co-anchor, Lisa Bell.
It's good to be here.
We've been anchoring together for a long time.
Very long time, since 2014.
That's right. That's when you got here.
Yes. Well, I got here before then, but that's when we started together.
Anchoring together.
Yes.
But we had anchored before on morning show.
Just temporarily, filling in,
Here and there.
Yeah.
Anyway, good to have you.
Thanks, good
You'll
to be
notice
here.
We're very comfortable in each other's presence.
We always like to correct each other and debate each other on every single subject.
There's 100% chance we're going to fight. We don't have too many debatey stories today.
No.
Maybe property taxes. We'll see. We'll see where we go with that.
This first one, though, man, that's terrifying.
Okay, so this is psycho. So Daytona Beach police say officers called to South Atlantic Avenue there. It's just south of Main Street. 10 o'clock Saturday night. Family out walking. This kid's 13, 14 years old. They say that this guy, this 44-year-old guy, is accused of just walking up to them with a knife and cutting their kid's neck.
And this happened right in the tourist area. And, I don't know the specifics on this family, if they were in town visiting. Of course, we had the Daytona 500 going on over there. But we're talking, this is right by the pier, right by the slingshot ride.
It sounded like they might have been heading to or from the slingshot. So they're out having a good time, and then this guy is accused of just randomly coming up to them and slicing their kid's neck. Now, I want to say the kid is okay, but a few millimeters different, and he could have bled out on the street.
That's what they're saying.
Which is terrifying. So News 6's Mike Valenti is in Daytona Beach. He's trying to get some answers on what exactly happened here.
The person using that weapon, Daytona Beach police say, was 44-year-old Jermaine Lynn Long, seen here in cuffs in this video taken by an employee who works along the beach. Long is charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. In a mostly redacted report, police wrote that medical attention was required for the victim's neck due to a, quote, severe laceration. Monday morning, a woman emailed News 6 identifying herself as the victim's mother. She wrote that her son is 13 years old and their family was in town for the Daytona 500. The woman called the attacker a deranged man and a random stranger. She said her son was taken to a hospital where he got 13 stitches. And she claimed, quote, the doctors said if the knife had cut 1 more millimeter, he could have died.
Okay, so he did clear it up. 13 years old, in town for the Daytona 500, just, out for a good time. And then this horrific attack, random, happens.
Doesn't it feel like we've had a lot of these stories where just a random person, we had a guy randomly kill a stranger in his garden, just executed him.
And then there were the people in Osceola County who were
fixing a car.
Yes.
And then a guy comes out of his house with a gun, shoots all of them. And then this we haven't gotten the whole story, but the family says this was just a random guy.
13 years old. And for something like that to happen, when it's supposed to be one of the best memories, perhaps, of your childhood, coming to Florida to see the Daytona 500 on vacation, and this happens.
Yeah, imagine the trauma that would arrive from that. Wasn't there a story a few years ago, too? It was Bike Week. There were 2 people on who were out enjoying Bike Week, and a guy randomly
killed them with
a knife as well.
And they were on bicycles just riding along.
I don't know why my brain just attaches all these stories together, but when it's so random, and it just feels like whatever.
Well, it's terrifying because it could happen to anyone. You know?
Whatever mental health crisis is happening. You just never know in America right now. It just feels very real and tangible.
There was a lot of other breaking news happening in Daytona, Volusia County this weekend. Of course, we're going to talk about the Daytona 500 coming up, but there were some road closures in Volusia County due to brush fires. And this has been a story that we've been covering for weeks now because we are actually dealing with major drought conditions across central Florida. And so over the weekend, we had some more brush fires pop up. There was one in Volusia County that shut down I-95 temporarily, also in Osceola County.
It is crispy out there.
Yeah, so right now we do have some countywide burn bans. That's in red that you see there. And even more places are putting burn bans in place. New places include St. Cloud, Orange City, DeBary. They've all enacted bans in the past few days. Several counties across the state have bans in place, including Flagler, Marion, Sumter, and Brevard County. But I want to show you some video from Osceola County from over the weekend. Take a look at this. A nursery off Poinciana Boulevard caught fire. Investigators say wind pushed a brush fire into the nursery's outdoor inventory. Nearby businesses had to be evacuated as crews worked for hours to get this fire under control. Propane tanks at the business were raising a lot of concerns there. And as we know, and we've seen over the years, these sort of dangerous conditions can make fires extremely unpredictable. Now, the good news is last night, Sunday night, many areas got some much needed rainfall and significant amounts of rainfall. We're talking 1 inch to 2 inches of rain. So that really did drop some of our drought index numbers a bit, but we don't have a whole lot of rain in the forecast.
Yeah, if you talk to our meteorologists, it sounds like we were about 3 inches and change, depending on where you were, into drought, which this time of year is not like, it's not like the summer where one day we could get 4 inches
That's
of
the
rain
rainy
in a couple
season,
of
of
hours.
course,
Yeah.
which doesn't start until July, basically.
It's crispy. I don't know how your lawn looks right now. Mine is a mess.
Mine's a nice shade of yellow / brown.
Yeah, it's like, is there any grass actually left in there, or is it just weeds?
And coming off those, hard freeze nights, a lot of my plants are just dead.
Really
it's not
pathetic
looking good right
looking
now.
stuff for me as well. All right, well, let's talk about Doge. We haven't talked about Doge in a little while. Right. So, of course, this was the governor's plan. Initially, it was Elon Musk's Doge efforts.
At the federal level.
Well, the state of Florida said, let's do this in the state of Florida, more localized Doge.
And they specifically targeted places like Orange County, the city of Orlando.
Yeah, they've mentioned Seminole County. I don't think they did an actual audit on Seminole, but they definitely targeted Orange. They've targeted other big counties as well. And so it's been interesting to see. It doesn't seem like, they've had a few press conferences where they've mentioned some waste and fraud.
Tens of millions of dollars, but never gave any specifics.
It has been short on specifics. But what I love about journalism and the people in this building, like our investigators, they will always go and try to check on the people who are checking on people. So Doge has been targeting wasteful spending. They've talked big when it comes to transparency. So the question is, what happens when you Doge the Doge? What do you find? So investigator Mike DeForest looked into this. He has been digging for months to try to figure things out, and they have been
literally months. It's taken him months to get some answers.
They have been the opposite of transparent. We can tell you that. So here's Mike's report.
County officials turned over these never-before-seen videos and photos showing their initial meeting with the Doge team, as well as this sign-in sheet. It shows 10 people representing Doge were in attendance. As you can see, most of the Doge team disclosed their first and last names, but 2 representatives from the Department of Revenue did not identify themselves. As for the other Doge team members on this list, I wanted to find out where they normally work. State records show one is employed by the governor's office. The second works for the Florida Department of Management Services. These 2 are employees of Florida's chief financial officer, Blaise Ngolia, and these 4 were recruited from the Florida Department of Transportation. They each received per diem and money for meals. One rented a car, while the other charged the state for mileage on a personal vehicle. In total, the CFO spent a little more than $2,000 sending 2 of his employees to Orange County to work for Doge.
I love how 2 of them identified themselves just as the Department
of Revenue.
But then Orange County released pictures of who was actually there.
Yeah.
So, you can see.
So I think obviously there wasn't any groundbreaking things, which I think is important as journalists. If we look into something and we don't find crazy things, we still release the information.
But then it makes you wonder, since on the surface it appears like, everything was done by the books.
Why
and
not just release it?
Yeah, and there wasn't a huge, hotel bill or food bills or whatever.
Embassy suites, normal stuff. Yeah, nothing crazy. So Mike hasn't gotten everything he's looking for from this as well, because that was one of our big questions as we saw this department. And Blaise Ngolia, the state CFO, has he's been flying all over the state.
Right.
And how much money are they spending? So it seems like at least they're being fairly frugal with it.
And it looks like a lot of those people who visited, were already state employees. So now that they're doing this, what work are they not doing? that they were in.
What was their main job before?
Exactly, and what's going on with that.
So he's asking big questions like that, and we'll see if we get any sort of response.
Might take a minute.
The state. Yeah, it's taken 4 months. And I will say this, sunshine laws, one of the greatest things that lawmakers in Florida ever did was create sunshine laws, which basically opens the door to journalists or
Public
anyone
records, yes.
to get public records. It's one of the reasons, everybody says, oh, Florida's crazy. It's the craziest state. Well, we have sunshine laws here, so we can get a lot of the
like body cam videos.
Body cam video. We all get that because it is written into state law that we're supposed to be a transparent state. And also cameras in the courts. Casey Anthony went crazy because we were getting all the documents and we had cameras in the courts. Same with George Zimmerman and court cases like this. So one thing to keep in mind, if they start rolling back and not being as compliant with sunshine laws.
I mean, we have seen that.
Definitely
that's documented. Yes.
Things take longer now.
Yes, there are. It seems like every year new laws are being proposed to conceal public records and to make it even more difficult, to put up barriers to get what has been, an open record for years.
Yeah, it's true. Something we're going to keep looking at and to always keep an eye on.
Okay, so we mentioned that it took a minute for Mike to get some of those records. Something else that has taken a minute is seeing Tropicana Field back in action. And so you may remember back in 2024, Tropicana Field was just torn apart by Hurricane Milton.
Terrible.
Yeah, destroyed. The whole roof was ripped off, and it was actually at the time being used as a staging area for utility vehicles, but they all had to move after that. Well, work has actually been underway there since then to try and get it back up and running, and now we are getting a first look at what has been done to the stadium because they're actually planning to use it for the first time since Hurricane Milton this MLB season. So here's a look at the renovations that have been underway.
It took a lot more than a 26-man roster to get Tropicana Field looking this good again. City officials confirmed they're on track to open on time and staying within their nearly $60 million budget.
Once the roof came back on, it really was warp speed.
Friday, city officials celebrated lots of construction milestones. The new net has been hung, data and fiber cable have been laid, audio is in too. By the end of the month, crews will have the field striped, allowing the new lights to be aimed at the refurbished diamond. Meantime, air quality tests are underway to ensure the facility is safe for fans to return.
Those areas that did get water intrusion really did get a significant amount of water intrusion.
While construction continues, city officials confirm FEMA has approved $16.5 million in reimbursements for their work on the Trop. The city's insurance is paying out another $10.8 million, and the city is expected $2.7 million more from the state. There may be paintbrushes out, touching up early the morning of opening day, but officials stress they will be ready.
So I love Tropicana Field. I've been there several times with my boys. I am a big fan.
What is it you like about it?
The fact that it's covered and air conditioned. My family were big baseball fans. We went to one game once at Raymond James Stadium in October and had to leave after the first quarter because it was so blazing hot. I thought we were all going to pass out or get like heat stroke or something.
It can be brutal.
It can be brutal. And I have to say that it seems like every time we have been at Tropicana Field to see a game, we can hear the storms rumbling outside. Usually those afternoon thunderstorms come through, it's raining, there's lightning, but it doesn't interfere with the game. So I love it.
Until Milton came along. Shredded the roof of that thing.
Yeah. It's an interesting, it's been there for a minute, and it's interesting that it hasn't had damage like that really beforehand.
Yeah.
And now it's all shiny and kind of brand newish.
But now their Rays are going to go play somewhere else.
Yeah, well, that's the plan, to build a whole new stadium.
Which they're cementing those plans right now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens with that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to show you some video of a guy who rescues a family. Their car is flipped over into a canal.
It's a great story.
True hero here. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to News 6 Tonight. Hopefully you're having a good Monday. Hopefully you're winding things down, chilling.
Absolutely.
With some headlines. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope you're having a good night.
If you are not having a good night, I think this next story will help boost your mood a little bit.
It's going to terrify you a little bit. I often wonder while I'm driving. I drive a lot, and I wonder, people who get into these medical emergencies and they pass out or have a seizure or heart attack. It's like, what happens? Well, this happened to a mom. She was in the car with her kids, had a seizure, and she topples over into a canal. Let's listen to or take a look at some of the video here. This is the result. Every street in Florida almost has a canal next to it or a
Water's
retention
everywhere.
pond. So she flips over. This guy happens to be looking in his rearview mirror, spots her.
That guy.
This guy gets in this disgusting water. So this is the body cam, and they get there. He's keeping her head out of the water. She's stuck in there.
And he's already rescued the 3 kids that were in the
kid
car,
out of
got
there.
them out. They're up on the bank now, safe.
But imagine.
And she wasn't breathing when he got there.
No, her head was underwater when
Yeah.
he got there. And so he gets uses his own body to keep her head above water, gives her mouth to mouth because she wasn't breathing. And that's why he has mud on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen to some of the body cam here.
There was nobody around, and there definitely would not have been anybody that would have seen this car for who knows how long. And those kids would not have been able to open that door or bust the window out. So there's no way of them surviving.
Wow.
So
he
EMS
just happened to see this in his rear view mirror, which I find just incredible because,
I'm never looking back.
well, yeah, not only that, and then, you'd probably question like, wait, what did I just see? But he actually stops.
Turned around.
Yes.
Took time out of his day and then gets in that disgusting water in the mud to save this woman and her 3 kids' lives. So EMS arrived. They rushed the family to the hospital. He says, of course, the guy's like this. He says he's not a hero. He was just in the right place at the right time. He's thankful he could be there. But if he doesn't show up, this woman drowns. Yeah. Maybe the kids make it out. Maybe they're okay. It seems like it's kind of on the edge. She was underwater. Her head was underwater, and she was unconscious. He doesn't act quickly. She's dead.
Yeah. And I don't know if we have even more sound from him, but he was saying how he doesn't consider himself a hero, which is, again, crazy. But he just happened to be in the right place at the right time. What a miracle. Mm-hmm. Those 3 kids have their mom tonight. She's alive. Apparently, as we've been saying, she suffered a seizure and just drove off the road. So just incredible story. And the fact that we have this body cam video to see it, thanks to those public records that we were just talking about.
God bless that guy, though. Huh?
Yes, no
Just
kidding.
stopping,
he needs all sorts of
sure,
awards
he deserves
bestowed
the
upon
praise.
him. All right, so this has been a real talker in the state ever since really it was, I believe, Governor DeSantis who was the first person to kind of float this idea. We're talking about property taxes. And if you live in the state of Florida, even if you don't own a home, you are going to likely be impacted in one way or another, depending on what the legislature decides to do. So Florida's legislative session is underway right now. There are several proposals being floated around right now, more than a dozen, that would change property taxes. They include eliminating all non-school property taxes, phasing them out, exempting them for people who are 65 years or old, increasing homestead exemptions, all of the above. But even if you are a renter, this could impact you because potentially it could, if your landlord sees fit, maybe reduces your rent. Or if you live in any municipality, which we all do, we are hearing from local elected officials who say changing their revenue source would have dramatic impacts on how local counties and cities are run. And so we are getting a lot of people who are weighing in on this online. We have some comments from some of those people. Someone said nothing will stop the actual land and property owners from still charging the same amount to renters. That's one point. I mean, maybe they will. Clayton asked the question that many have, where's the funding for government services like police, fire, and schools going to come from? A lot of the proposals have been saying that school taxes, which are separate, would not be impacted by this.
They're trying to, these proposals make it so you can't, non-school taxes for homestead.
And there are also proposals saying that local cities and counties cannot cut fire and police, but none of this is set in stone. Douglas is skeptical about where this could go and the impacts if local governments need to ask Tallahassee for everything. And that is also, one of the arguments that's being put out there, especially by local municipalities. It's kind of local control, local government. We have the right to set our own taxes. That's why people elect us to, run their services for them and run their cities.
Yeah, I find this interesting because I do feel like if one of these is able to make it on the ballot, if they can agree on it and the governor signs onto it.
So this would have to go to the state constitution.
So obviously, yes, these are not bills that are just going to go into law. These are just to get the amendments on your ballot for November. Now, I feel like if one of them makes it on the ballot, it's got a really good chance of getting 60%.
This also goes back to what was one of our top stories tonight is the whole DOGE thing. Because when these people like Blaise Ngolia, the state chief financial officer, would come to places like Orange County and say there's all this waste. Part of his argument was that while population has increased this much, property tax revenue has gone up at a much larger rate. And so the state, in many cases, was making the argument that clearly there's waste then. Because
and look, we can cut property taxes to do this. That was the whole point in the Doge.
Yes.
Yeah, they were pretty transparent about that. We're doing Doge to basically say that local governments don't need as much money as they're taking.
They're continuing to collect more and more and more as property values have gone up, but we're not adding to our population.
I'll be interested to see if they can agree. You know, a few years ago, everybody kind of coalesced around the governor. There's a much more contentious relationship between the Florida House and the Senate. I've never, in my lifetime until the last few years, and the governor, they've never gotten along.
And he's a lame duck governor now. So, he's not going to be the governor once his term is up. He can't run again.
And you sort of have factions now because there's the DeSantis camp and then you have the people that Trump backs, and so there's two sort of competing elements. It is control. The Republicans control the state, absolutely. But the question is, can they all agree on one plan?
And if you are a property owner, chances are you want some property tax relief. But what will the cost of that in terms of services
your
and
kids' school,
the impacts on your community?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of questions yet to be answered. Legislative session, about a month left. Clock is ticking,
we'll
lawmakers.
See what they can do.
We'll see what happens. We'll be right back with another great story. Hey, welcome back to News 6 tonight, the final block here, and we would be remiss if we didn't talk about what happened at the Daytona International Speedway. The 500 took place yesterday, and it was a wild one. Not a crazy race throughout. Lap 124 had a wreck. There was some crazy stuff at the end. There's a lot of gamesmanship these days to try to get that W. And you might be saying to yourself, who the hell is that guy? His name's Tyler Reddick.
You'll recognize some people
You'll
here.
recognize the person who owns
that guy.
The company that he races for. That ma'am is Michael Jordan right there. So Michael Jordan has got it. I think this is his first win at the Daytona 500 as an owner. He's very big into racing.
Another slam dunk.
Very good.
Yeah.
For the Jordan, and so he's good at everything. It turns out, so he won, but he got a little lucky in the end. Honestly, there was a big wreck at the very end. He was not in the league. Chase Elliott was in the lead, and this guy was able to get around the craziness and win.
I'm seeing the Jordan emblem on, his driver's suit, I guess. I'm curious to know, does he wear Jordans? Like, what type of foot attire is he?
I don't know. I think he keeps this separate from the Jordan Empire and Nike.
Okay. Yeah, Nike's a whole different sponsor.
But that, I'm sure, paid for all this. Hey, thanks for watching tonight. We hope you have a great one. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye.